There we go. Guess for video on demand people. That was quick. Is that what I'm supposed to be sculpting? It's 1 in the morning for you. I guess I should ask, how's it going? And are you going to bed soon? Young man. Yamas, it's Tuesday. I guess it's Wednesday for you. You okay? I don't know if that statement was supposed to be reassuring or not. I I I guess it could be worse. You could be drinking milk. Copious copious amounts of milk. That's a good chunk of my family. Unfortunately. I think when you get to that point with alcohol, usually usually it doesn't lead to making you a better person for it. Unfortunately, no. My family has plenty of addicts. I'm no stranger to it. I know when my diet change has affected me when I read the hot chocolate with rum, spray cream, and marshmallows, and I can immediately go like, that is way too sugary for me. Or I would probably find it way too sweet right now. I didn't like them. I don't think I've touched the model since I last streamed. Today was a searching for a new car battery. And prepping for D&D, I guess. Backstories or characters are due today. So, as far as running a D&D campaign, I feel like it was one of the most stressful points. pour myself a nice cup of hot chocolate, rum, spray cream, and marshmallows, and drift off into a diabetic coma. Typically, like as a DM, I always want to be like yes and, um, but I always find that character creation, just because I run my own setting, kind of turns into like, oh god no, um, more more often than not, because everyone has their own ideas, like what's going on in a fantasy world. You guys kind of built, or picked the hardest area. Etheria and Sathrasesh are the most strict, just because of the like societal restrictions in my setting. You might like this one. My party, currently there is no attempt at balance or covering any bases. I think everyone is just playing what they want. Voxel, I'm pretty sure I saw you, he's saying like putting shrimp on a Barbie for Gaza's stream while I was lurking. Is the theme today like Australian like phrases? So like the party currently is a arcane trickster rogue, a painkiller illrigger, and a Drake Warden ranger. I really do want to see it in action. Yeah, the Illrigger feels like a good mix of almost like a battle master, warlock, and a paladin. Their devil patron is Disney, Mickey Mouse. I think that would track. I started trying to figure out like the 9 archdevils of my setting, because my setting has went through so many changes over the years. But I landed on figuring out a pit fiend that is like an overseer for the order of Illriggers. Hence, I was rebuilding my my pit fiend. On the subject of earlier today of everything being original, um, for the Illriggers in my setting, what I've landed on is there's only 9 of them. So it's kind of like a infernal Knights of the Round Table. Each one is sponsored by one of the archdevils. And when I was figuring it out and like talking to my player, I'm like, oh, so you're one of the 9? And I'm like, oh, Lord of the Rings reference. Of course. um, and I figured none of the archdevils would actually... Well, Illriggers are supposed to be independent, acting in the best interest of hell. So I didn't want any of the archdevils running it. So I kind of figured a pit fiend would be tasked with overseeing the whatever, the 9. And I kind of figured that my pit fiend that carries around a great mace called the Dark Sentencer, that has a orb of annihilation, and it felt like a pretty good candidate for some sort of pit fiend that has to keep a bunch of Illriggers in check. To be fair, the more I worked on my like the infernal part of my setting, I was like, why is there 9 hells? Very much, I was like, I really don't need 9 circles of hell. I like MCDM's the 7 cities. For like a hell, like what would you call it, like hierarchy or setting, I guess. Um, but I think I've been saying the 9 hells for years with my setting, and when I actually looked at the 9 hells and like what is actually in like Forgotten Realms, there was like immediate regret of like committing to that number. But I do like the Ill Rigger is like 1 out of 9. Like that sounds cool. 1 of the 7 also works. I guess if I changed the 9 hells, it would change my material plane. Or at least the name. You're running your game in your settings hell, right? So you'll probably need the the other cities sooner or later. So with the my current game, everything was decided like picking like names, places, or the character classes and setting location from basically paper out of a hat. And I threw in a cursed option for my my first setting of like playing tabletop RPG, or me running tabletop RPGs. So it would be a return to my original setting, updated for 2025. And I'd like to eventually make a board game using that setting. But the players ultimately wanted to play in the one of the metropolis areas in my game, so I have to come up with my own like version of what was it called? MCDM's capital. Good old Predent. I think my favorite game I played in was in a desert setting, oddly enough, and I typically don't like video games in deserts. I usually find them very, very lackluster. I honestly think the setting was. I think it was more so that we just got to focus on our characters, a bit more than just, like exploring the setting. We still got to do that, but it was what really helped was the DM had a great inciting incident for all of us to work together, and things just kind of naturally progressed from there. Like I can't remember 100% what was going on in the game. It's been years. Playing Pathfinder as well might have also helped. Um, just because I think Pathfinder First Edition, um, had just enough like crunch for me. I can't remember if our players were tasked with um, protecting a tomb or if we were going in there. I think we were going in there to take stuff. We must have been. We're adventurers. Um, but yeah, we got to learn about a faction of like tomb guardians, and um, I say more dungeon masters need to cast curses that are not undone by remove curse, because it's such an easy spell to get a hold of. But yeah, like when we had defeated this like tomb guardian, he cursed our D&D party like with his dying breath and like in his own blood to kind of emphasize that like this curse was at a different like level. And it wasn't just like, oh, a curse of like minor inconvenience. This was like your party dies in 30 days kind of um kind of curse. So suddenly the whole party has to work together because we all we're all cursed. And it was like adventuring out into the like desert to find ancient like archives and forgotten knowledge, stuff like that. And I think by the like near the end of that like arc of the story, the curse started to like manifest. Like I was playing a crusader kind of character, and it who I was inspired by Lords of the Fallen, so he's like fully masked. And uh but I think like all of our characters, it was like um flies were like coming out of like our armor and whatnot. Like our characters are beginning to like suffer from like mummy rot or whatever. All the details are a little vague. It's been quite a few years since I played that game. Oh yeah, so by the end of that campaign, my story arc actually used my previous character as a villain. And we fought a like a fallen celestial using some of Pete's art, Pete Morbacher's art. Because my DM used to like to use images, like he would throw them up on a screen to kind of give us some more visuals on like what was going on or what we were looking at. But yeah, by the end of that dungeon, my character, because we defeated a celestial, I think I had a halo that would be affixed above my head, and a cloak that would turn into wings with eyes, kind of like my biblical accurate angel. Super cool campaign. Um, after my story arc, uh, we the game spectacularly fell apart in like the worst way, unfortunately. And now saying that, I feel kind of bad for my buddy Mason, who never got to do his character story arc. I actually had my character finish their story. Like after that session, and we were talking about the next like part of the journey, I was like, I can't see my character adventuring anymore. Like, as awesome as the like halo and the like wings and everything were, I was like, my character, like the role play for this character ceases to make sense if I keep going, because he had defeated his enemy. And yeah, I made a new character, and I just wanted to be like supporting uh, like cast member for the other guy's story. Which, as far as like D&D or tabletop like RPGs, being able to say at a character kind of reach that point is pretty lucky. Is that Lady Maria? Yeah, it is. Okay. How's it going, Michael? How's it going, Zen? You're leaving just as Michael and Zen show up. That's just rude. This is looking worse the more I sculpt it. I feel like I'm going to get a swift ban. Oh, I forgot to check what Gaz is doing for the Playful Cat Girl challenge. For anyone tuning in and seeing me sculpt a demon and saying that, it makes sense in context. Oh, so he's got a full kind of like cyber cat girl idea. I got the preview, like the thumbnail preview of the stream on Discord. Clearly is looking at the tail. It looks so phallic. Whoops. Aren't you going to bed? Good night, good night. Okay, Zen, you're going full degen. I feel like I need to either join you on that or go the exact opposite direction and try to go completely out of my comfort zone and make them as cute as possible. Unfortunately, I feel like going full degen is like the way to win the crowd. Technically, he had this. He would have to censor mine. Depending on the angle, at least. I mean, not to rub it in, he's literally been banned for, like, less. It's so unfortunate. I really hope he can appeal it. In, like, was it like 6 months? Something ridiculous. So it's too late for me. I should have made a alternate creator account for my After Dark stuff. Though explaining the stupid sexy Comet Lord on like an alt account would be a little awkward. Stupid sexy Comet Forge Studios minis. There is a little bit of regret going with Comet Lord miniatures as like a business name, because people always assume I'm a studio. Zen, I forgot about that. Commander, I feel like slightly altering the the order of those is truly unfortunate for me. People applying to work for me at first was like flattering. Now it's a little exhausting. I would say about 90% of the people who apply to work for me have failed to read the FAQ on my website. Which is not a great way to, like, if I ever wanted to expand, I would not want to reach out to anyone unless they were so good I couldn't pass it up. But like, if you couldn't read the FAQ, then I'm like, oh, 100%, it's a bunch of cold calls. The amount of people that have emailed me or messaged me saying that their style complements or fits like the Comet Lord Miniatures brand, and then I look at their like portfolio or their Instagram, and it's just full of like big titty anime figures, and I'm just like, okay. Or superheroes. I get it. I think so. Like for the comic codex, or the preview. Sorry, one moment. For the comic codex preview, I hired one person based on a cold call, and I don't think I'll ever do that again. And that being said, I've had more problems with like artists with bigger followings than cold calls, technically. Yeah, it's super unfortunate though, like for upcoming artists, it's like it's very much like I don't believe cold calling someone you want to work for is the answer. But it's like what kind of strategy is make the art you would think they would want from you and hope they notice you. Yeah, like I can't speak for uh like studios. Um but like I'm completely indie. I've built a brand on sculpting stuff in my style, my ideas. It's my work. Um, so hiring a sculptor who doesn't do my style doesn't doesn't really make sense. Um, which, if I ever wanted Common Lord Miniatures to be a studio, is that makes it a bit of a headache. Yeah, yeah, and that's a lot of investment. um, so like I'm remaking one of my minis. I loaded it up last time. Um, so I believe my first Patreon release was 6 years ago. This month. And one of my players in my upcoming D&D game is playing an Illrigger. So, sorry to anyone who's been chilling out here and has heard this already. But I wanted a Pit Fiend to oversee the order of Illriggers in my game. And I have a Pit Fiend that I released 6 years ago. Doesn't look good anymore, in my opinion. So I'm gonna remake it because I feel inspired to do so. So this is the original, which I've been sculpting for quite a few years now, consistently. The 1.5 year hiatus withstanding. I've already done some redos or like remasters. We can look at some actually. It's kind of I always go like, wow, someone paid me for this. But yeah, this was in my first Patreon release. He's so pillowy looking. um Yeah, because of my first release, I immediately bought myself a Anycubic Photon. Oh, like I think this is questionable on like just the design, like shape language and whatnot. But like, I started this guy. A couple days ago, just to like start working out the features of the Pit Fiend being remade. And it's just kind of funny that like how much my knowledge of anatomy and like just sculpting practices has changed. And that's kind of why I want to make some YouTube videos about it. But I'll show show off the worst. Um, the the project suffers from the like medium undead print ready final real final 001 002. Which is fucking hilarious. I'm so guilty of that. Okay. All right, so let's look at some bad sculpts of mine. We can rip me apart. So, I did a full like army, so to speak, just skeletons with multiple poses, and they. Oh no, that's worse than I remember. Look at this. People paid me for this. Crazy thing, you can still find stuff like this in like creators like to this day still do shit like this. I won't name names. But yeah, I just wanted to fill it out. Yeah, that's rough. It's over decimated in some spots. Oh, is that? No, it's pretty like over decimated all around. Poorly boolean. And just the proportions are just like the knees to thighs, the length of it's really rough overall. Um but yeah, there was an arc of my Patreon releases where I was doing like pre-supported re-releases. The retro Combat Lord. And these guys came up, and when I opened up the file to like re-export it so I could go get them pre-supported, oh, the tunnel is still there. Not as bad though. When I had opened up the files, I was like, no, this is this is not getting re-released. I'm rebuilding it. So the rebuild where I took things from the original and just actually rebuilt it. These aren't modular, unfortunately. I think going forward, whenever I do some like large troops, I will probably try to figure out how to do the modular. I'm really not a fan of like 32, 36 millimeter models and like gluing in the arms. That's a personal preference. But I understand that it makes them a lot more like customizable. Like you can see like the proportion difference of like where the waist is. I think it's like a super, definitely long skeleton. Like it's like a rib cage and a half. Yeah, I'm gonna probably call the stream soon. It's like 8:30 at night for me. I'd like to wind down and do some D&D prep. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Have a good night. All right, a little bit of a shorter stream today. Only wanted to do a short evening hangout. Trying to get some work done. I think should be able to stream tomorrow. I won't promise that. I don't really have a schedule for streaming. But I will try to stream again this week. Just because I'm making some good headway on this model. And see if we can get it done soon. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me this evening. Have a great rest of your night. Or day, I guess, depending where you are in the world. But yeah, have a good one. And see ya.